The Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra records at up to 4K 30 frames per second in MJPEG or 1080p 60 frames per second uncompressed in either NV12 or YUY2. But that's not what makes this webcam unique. This is the first webcam that's come out that actually addresses the core issues that makes pretty much every other webcam on the market either straight up suck or just good for a webcam, but they all fall apart when you put them next to a real camera. Razer actually put good optics in a webcam for once. This is my $750 mirrorless camera, the Sony ZV-1, and this is the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra that I bought for $300. I love the sharpness and colors on both, and look at the background. You can finally see shallow depth of field on a webcam. Switching back and forth, they actually have about the same depth of field. Now, how was Razer able to do that? Well, the sensor is 1/1.2 inches, so it is the new biggest sensor on any webcam. It beats out the 1/2 inch sensor of the Insta360 Link and the 1/1.8 inch sensor that's on the Nexigo Iris and the Elgato Facecam Pro. And both of those companies, they were like, yeah, we got the biggest sensor ever. And I was just like, yeah, that's cool, but it's still kind of small. The focal length is 8.5 millimeters. And the aperture is f1.7. Now, if you know about cameras, you're gonna be like, wow, that's really impressive for a webcam. But if you don't know what those numbers mean, I talk about them more in depth in a couple other videos. One of them is just a quick 1-minute camera optics video. But TLDR, this gives you a decently wide shot, but it still lets in a ton of light, way more than any other webcam on the market. Now, the Kiyo Pro Ultra does have a built-in microphone, which I'm speaking into right now, but if you're going to be spending $300 on a webcam and you're going to be using the built-in microphone of the webcam and not just buying another standalone microphone, then congratulations, you played yourself. So getting into image quality, the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra is the new best looking webcam on the market. It's not even close. It's actually unfair how much better this device looks in comparison to the competition. This is what happens when you do what I've been asking for so long, which is actually put good optics in a webcam. Post-processing, yeah, that's cute. All this AI face tracking and pan tilt zoom and stuff. It's like, yeah, whatever, but give me good optics. I just want the image quality to be better. And before I go further, this is super important to bring up. There have been a lot of borderline illegal advertisements masquerading as reviews on YouTube from really popular influencers talking about different webcams, especially the Insta360 Link. That's a big one where these companies either send these people products for free, or in other cases, they'll just straight up pay them. And these aren't even like disclosed as sponsorships. But the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra I bought with my own money. I bought every webcam that I have that I'm going to be demonstrating in every camera with my own money. So I don't have any reason to shill for one company over the other. It's all real talk. And as I'm showing here on the screen, the optic specifications of the Kiyo Pro Ultra are actually very similar, very close to the Sony ZV-1. The colors are not as rich and dynamic. This is actually compressed to MJPEG right now. And the Sony ZV-1's uncompressed because it's going through HDMI. Also, if you ever tried to alter the white balance of a webcam in OBS or any UVC controls, you know the limitations with the kind of yellow tint that they give you. For example, this is the auto white balance on the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra, and it looks a lot closer, but it does have this kind of weird kind of green going on in the background. And if I turn that off, then it takes that away, but I don't actually get access to that. So this is at 4380 right now, but no matter what I change it to, I can't quite get it the same. That actually looks pretty decent, but it's getting more of a like a reddish over there in the background in the wall. It's not quite exactly what I want. This is 4700, so this is pretty decent. The white balance is pretty good on this device. The colors look really good compared to the Sony ZV-1, but let's go ahead and compare it to some other webcams. Now, the sharpness and detail is excellent on the Kiyo Pro Ultra. This is a massive improvement over the 2021 Razer Kiyo Pro. That was the biggest weakness with that device. Everything just kind of looks soft, and the noise reduction filter that they were using, it really was like really intense and made everything just not look very sharp and not look very clear at all. It's even better in this category than the Logitech Brio and the Insta360 Link. It also looks cleaner than the slightly gritty Nexigo Iris. And as I was raving about, the color accuracy is just fantastic. I could even do a better job tweaking the white balance a little bit more, although unfortunately they don't give you the tone control, but you know, that's a limitation of the UVC controls. My skin tone looks really good. You know, I'm always relieved with that because, I mean, let's just be real. They don't really have webcams out right now that make brown skin look brown. It always looks like some sort of red or yellow or maybe like a orange, but this is actually pretty accurate. Even though I can't quite match the white balance of the Sony ZV-1, I think that the colors overall and the white balance overall is pretty decent on the Kiyo Pro Ultra. Now here's the thing, you actually can improve the colors quite a bit with uncompressed YUY2 or NV12. I'm using YUY2 right now, and this is at 1080p 60 frames per second. The colors look so much better. I'm loving them. They actually do look pretty close now, a lot closer to the Sony ZV-1. I'm actually really satisfied with the colors that you're gonna get when you use uncompressed. Of course, that's probably not why most people are gonna buy a $300 webcam to use it at 1080p 60, but if you do, it's going to look sharper than the original Kiyo Pro, which was 1080 60 uncompressed. But also the colors are just going to look fantastic, even better than the Nexigo Iris, even better than the Insta360 Link. The Insta360 Link actually has some really good colors as well. The dynamic range is great. Black crush isn't really much of a problem on this device. The contrast slider actually works on this device properly. I do have it a little high on the contrast, but it's not crazy like the default Razer Kiyo Pro. That was like a nightmare. But at the same time, as you'll notice, it's able to keep the highlights from being like super blown out, like the white that's on the table and the boxes back there and on my face, because I have these lights like right next to me, the ring lights and stuff like that, and they're not like popping like on my head. Now I tend to avoid artificial high dynamic range modes, HDR, but I will be showing that in the software section, and I'll also be demonstrating the autofocus there, because there's some settings that you can change to change how the autofocus like prioritizes. Actually, I'll go ahead and show autofocus like right now, and it's really prioritizing my face. Like my face is actually still in focus through this bottle. It's just something that it's a setting in Synapse that there's pros and cons to the way they did it. It's very aggressive and it's made to really keep your face in focus by default. They overcompensated for the original Razer Kiyo Pro, which that autofocus was so bad that they had to make a firmware update to fix it. But that firmware update bricked every Kiyo Pro that tried to install it. So they had to RMA people's Kiyo Pros and they had to like make a new batch. It was a nightmare. So they were like, okay, we're not even gonna deal with that. Let's just make it stick to your face and not stick to anything else. So it's like possible to get it to autofocus or focus on something else, but it's very difficult and it really doesn't want to. It really wants to keep your face in focus. But again, I'll show that in the settings that you can change the priority to not be face. But of course, my favorite part about this webcam is that the interest pupil is so large. If you divide the focal length 8.5 millimeters by the aperture, f/1.7, so 8.5 divided by 1.7, you get 5 millimeters of an entrance pupil. And my Sony ZV-1 is 5.2 millimeters entrance pupil. So these are much larger than any webcam that you're gonna find. And what that allows you to do is get that nice shallow depth of field. If you had some cool lights in the background, you can get some bokeh. And if I zoom in here, you can actually see that. You know, you can't even really read the text on the Kiyo Pro Ultra. Actually, you can't see that text at all. That's awesome. I love that, because if you're in an environment like me where you just have cluttered background, you're always bringing boxes and new tech in and out, and you know, it's just messy in here. You know, that's fine. I don't want all that stuff to be in focus, super sharp. That's what you're gonna get with the Logitech Brio. You're gonna get it with the Iris. You're gonna get it with the Insta360 Link. You're gonna get it with the Elgato Facecam Pro. All of the webcams, every other webcam that's on the market, they just don't have optics that can give you a blurry background or bokeh. I absolutely love this because they're marketing this like as DSLR quality or mirrorless camera quality in a webcam form factor, and that's actually what this is. And this is all physics based. It's not like a software effect. It's not like NVIDIA broadcast where it's like kind of inconsistent and you need a specific graphics card to do it. It's just the optics. It's just the lens itself that's causing this. Now, I will be putting up more side-by-side comparisons of this device to other devices, but I noticed in my previous videos when I do like a bunch of side-by-sides and I do that quadrant when I have 4 different webcams at the same time, it makes my videos really long. So if you want specific comparisons, I will be doing individuals in different videos. Now, unfortunately, this is the part of the video where I'm going to have to cover Razer Synapse. This crashed 3 times in 3 minutes, which is insane. When they ask you if you want to install this, I would just be like, nope, I'm good. Now, this does allow you to get some pretty interesting features. It has the anti-lens distortion, which you can see kind of, there's a little bit of warping everything. That's the one issue with this lens, is everything's a little bit bent, kind of like a fisheye effect, and it will crop in to kind of mitigate that and then kind of adjust. There's also the autofocus modes. You can have it either track your face or just standard rotor track anything that you just put up close to it. And then you can have it be passive, where it takes a while to kind of, it's like the drive speed, or it could be really snappy with the responsive. You can change a lot of settings, but as you're changing them, a lot of times it'll just crash and it just Like, that's not reliable. That's not something, if you're using this for business purposes, then it's just not the way to go. You do not want Synapse open. The only time that I could possibly see wanting to use this is if you were backlit, like you had a window behind you and you want to enable HDR. But honestly, the correct solution is to just get rid of whatever light is behind you, put some blinds up, put a blanket over it or something, and make sure you're lit from the front, or turn around so that you're facing that window instead. Now, before I end this, let me just talk really quickly about the build. This is very similar to the Kiyo Pro. It's got that kind of like circular look to it. The entire body feels plastic, but there's actually so first of all, there's this privacy cover. This comes with it. This is like the original Razer Kiyo Pro, and you can just put this right on, but also you can twist. You're not going to really be able to see this, so I can show some B-roll. If you twist this, it will actually, this is inside the webcam itself. There's like a Aperture closure thing. I don't really know what to describe it as, but basically the lens inside closes. So that's really cool. The only downside that I really have with this device in terms of the build is just the wires only, I think it's 5 feet. It's braided, but it's the same length as the Kiyo Pro. It just doesn't go very far. And there's a tripod thread at the bottom of the stand, like the monitor stand, but also the bottom of the webcam itself, so you can screw that off. You can also move this left and right and tilt it up and down. So it has some pretty good flexibility as far as getting the right shot. It's not like PTZ, like the Insta360 Link, but this is still pretty cool. And as for my verdict, the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra is the best webcam on the market by a very long shot. If we're defining premium webcams as over $150, then the Kiyo Pro Ultra is the only premium webcam worth buying. It makes every other webcam on the market look pretty pitiful, and it makes all those other $250 and $300 webcams look like a complete ripoff, like the Elgato Facecam Pro, even the Nexigo Iris, the Insta360 Link, those $250 to $300 webcams. Like, they're a little bit better than like the $150 range, but they're not anywhere close to being worth $250 and $300. This actually is. So if you have the money, I highly recommend the Razer Kiyo Pro Ultra.